Hi, this is Dominika from SimplePlan.cz and I'm back with SimplePlan.
SimplePlan.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm very good. So, how's the tour been so far?
It's been really fun. We started with the Notepads tour in the States, which was amazing, and now here in Europe there's festivals as well, so we're kind of mixing up Notepads, regular set, and so there's a lot of songs that are being tossed around during the shows, and it's a lot of fun, but something that never fails. He jumps in the crowd at every single show, and that's pretty fun. One of my favorite moments of the show.
For sure, but it's been really good. We had a great show. Hold on, I'm trying to think. Germany shows were really great.
Amazing.
London was dope.
London was off the hook.
Download last time was amazing. Rocket Ring, Rocket Park.
Yeah, it was just crazy. Holy shit, the two first shows were sweaty though. Hamburg and Berlin. Were you there for that?
Yeah. I wanted those shows to end.
It was so good though.
They were
so
amazing. Everybody was sweating.
I was unbuttoning my shirt. It got so hot. It got really sexy on stage as well. No, it was good.
It's like it's a nice workout.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
So, do you think there's you see a difference between the American Notepads shows and European? Because to me, it seems that the American crowd mostly knows you for this record, for the Notepads record, but the European crowd mostly knows you for your second record and the other records. So do you think there's a difference, it means more to them or something like that?
I don't know if it means more, but I would say that's a true assessment.
It's a fair assessment, yeah. I think that, Notepads was probably our biggest record in the US. The second one was also did really well, but I would say
just like this.
The most iconic album for us was our first album in the States.
Yeah.
So these shows have been really, really fun. You can tell there's a really special energy. People felt it was really special to go back in time and sort of relive those really, those years, were teenage years and all that.
There was TRL as well, and we used to play a lot on it in the States as well.
Yeah, and the show's done really well. It was kind of like it was really fun for us to do it. But we also felt like as soon as we announced the U.S. tour, everybody around the world was like, "Hey, we want this too," and Europe and Japan. And Australia's asking now, and like we're trying to figure out a way that in Canada, of course. So we announced Canada, we announced more US. We're doing Europe now. We're going to Japan as well, and there's a few more places that we need to go with this. So we want to kind of devote the whole year to doing that concept. And but it's been really fun to show it in Europe, even though maybe the album is not as maybe as important for our career here as some other places in the world. I feel like the response is amazing. So it's because now people can go back and with Spotify and Apple Music, they can listen to everything. So I think a lot of maybe fans that came in later, or they go back and they kind of rediscover all the albums that they missed. So they're familiar with the music. So it's been great.
I agree. Like the shows have been amazing. And
thanks, bro.
I haven't been a fan since the last record. I discovered you through the second record, which is like a lot of Europeans. So, and it's still, the show is amazing, it's built so well, and then the final mix, the encore, is just the best of the best. So,
it's cool, right?
Good job on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, do you see a difference between when you wrote the first record, because you've never basically written a record before, not counting Reset me now. Do you see a difference between writing a record for your first band and then the other records? Is there like more pressure or something like that?
I think when we wrote the first and the second album, it feels like, I might remember it wrong, but it feels like the songs that we had, those were the songs on the album, because like we were so focused on making sure that all the songs were the right style and the right, if it was SimplePlan, and if we started something that didn't work, we just never finished it. And now we just like, we write, and then we pick the best out of the bunch and try to figure it out from there.
Yeah, you know what, it's interesting. I would say that there was more songs for Notepads, because like we wrote for like almost 2 years. But what's great about making your first album, like nobody waits for it, nobody knows about it. I mean, we had like a few pockets of fans in like Montreal, Toronto that were waiting for the album, but really we had all the time in the world to make the album,
and nobody's saying like, oh, I wonder what SimplePlan's going to do next, because there's no SimplePlan yet,
You can kind of define your own sound, but you didn't have any expectations or anything. So that was fun, that was really cool. The second record, I guess we had all the momentum on the first record. Yes, there was some pressure, but at the same time, like, it's the one that we wrote the fastest. We never wrote an album that fast, and we actually had like one extra song from it. And like Seb is saying, it's true. Like we didn't really finish all this stuff that we didn't think was great. We just didn't finish it. We just focused on the stuff that we love. It became a little harder after the second record to write the albums because there's so many directions and a lot of times
the music was changing as well at that time. Yeah.
And like when you have 2 successful albums, that's when artists in general start to feel like, oh, we need to like try something new and branch out. And so I think we've experimented with that, and now it's a little. I think the next one, and maybe I'll be wrong, but the next one I feel will be a little bit maybe I wouldn't say easier, but it might be we might have like a more simple direction.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay.
But it might all change when we start writing.
We'd love to put it out faster.
I understand that.
Great.
Yeah. So let's keep it with the first record.
Okay.
On the first record, the songs are credited to all of you, and that's the only album that has that. All the other albums are credited to basically you and Pierre. Why is that?
I think it was the way we were writing songs was a little different because back in the day we couldn't really make a lot of really like sophisticated demos in some ways. So I think that a lot of stuff like I think Pierre and I would start the basic foundation of the song, but then we would bring it into the like rehearsal room and we would like really jam everything and we would like try let's try it again, and like let's try it different, and it ended up everybody had a lot of contribution. And also geographically, we were all in Montreal, so we could all sort of easily get together and kind of work on everything. As things evolve and everything, I think it became a little bit harder to have 1 year where we were all in the same place, like being able to jam like all the time, And also,
and demos became a thing, like it was easier to get in the computer, get some drums going, get some guitars, and like, hey guys, we have a song, It's like, all right, and then we go to the studio once we figured we had enough like song or demos, So
I want to say that on the second and third and fourth and fifth record, there's still like the rest of the band, I think, are always involved in the arrangements and they're always involved
in the sound,
shaping the song and everything. And I just think it just ended up that maybe Pierre and I had been writing for a long time before, and we had that sort of like chemistry to write together. Because Jeff and Seb are great songwriters. They spend a lot of time like working on their craft and everything and doing stuff. It's just that for this band,
they have a SimplePlan sound.
It feels like when Pierre and I get together, it comes off sounding like SimplePlan. And unfortunately for us, we've had a band that agrees and enjoys the songs that we create and have been really just behind the whole thing, and they've been supportive of everything.
Yeah.
So it's been cool.
Usually about 10 or 12 out of 75 are good.
Ratio.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Hey, here's the thing. In baseball, so if somebody bats like 300, which is 30,
excellent.
he's an amazing player that usually goes to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So
great,
we're getting closer to that ratio.
Right.
It's hard to hit a fastball coming at 100 miles an hour, with a little bat. It's hard
especially hit it out of the park with the bases loaded. That's the hardest thing to do.
So it's normal.
Sports analogy are good music. Restaurants analogy are even better. We'll get to it later, I'm sure.
Okay. I'm looking forward to that. Okay. So with the first album, you had a very interesting producer, Arnold Lang.
Yes.
And I understand that there were some problems between the two of you during the process. My question is, you guys were kicked out of the studio one day.
Yes.
What I've never understood was, what did you do to get back in?
Oh,
We had to finish the record.
Yeah, but I think.
But like, how like, did he just let you back?
No, and I think
did you have to beg him?
I think we got kicked out for a weekend. That was the punishment.
Oh, okay.
So we came back on the Monday, and it's funny because as much as arguing there was between us and Arnold, sometimes the reason we got kicked out was not even related to anything that had to do with the songs. No, it's because here's the thing. In that studio, it was a live-in studio, and there was a bedroom with bunk beds and no windows. And I would very often just sleep on the couch downstairs because it was a big room open and all that. But I'd always grab my bed sheets and my pillow.
We've seen the DVD.
Yeah, before Arnold would get into the morning. And I think one day David overslept downstairs on the couch, and Arnold walked in, and I had a meeting that morning. So he walks in with a client, and David's there. He's like, "What? So you guys?" He just went to his head. He's like, you guys have disrespected me. You're leaving for the weekend. We spent the weekend at shitty hotel by mall. Had a great time
because they had like the water slides.
Yeah, water slides, and it was awesome. And then we came back on Monday, and I guess we were a little bit more.
It was like a punishment.
Yeah, it was a punishment. He kicked us out because he said, you guys aren't professional enough because you don't respect my rules, which was to not sleep on the couch.
Have you ever done it again?
Sleep on the couch? Yeah, of course, every day. But we pick up our stuff before 9 a.m. to make sure he didn't see us.
We had to get out.
Obviously, he learned.
We became a little smarter after
that. I guess we did.
So, from what I've heard in recent interviews, the direction that he took wasn't really the direction you wanted to go at that point. Do you feel like the result of the record was more of a compromise, sort of? Or like, do you think that if you just make the record, it would have been a totally different record?
I don't think it would have been totally different.
It would have sounded different.
It would have maybe sounded a bit different. Maybe Pierre's singing would have been different. I know Pierre said recently, revisiting the first album, that
the way,
yeah.
But hey, you can't argue with the result.
I'm not arguing
no,
with
like in the sense of like what I'm trying to say is that well, I'm trying to say like I mean you can sit here and say oh we've done this and that, but at the end of the day would it have maybe it would have been a bad idea because maybe we've never been as successful. Maybe
you'll never know.
You can't rewrite history, but I think that definitely there's things about the record that even as we finished it, we were a little bit like oh I wish we could have done it different. But so many great artists when they work with a producer. They got influence, or they got, or they had to compromise. Not the word I like to use because we were not we didn't really compromise a lot of things with him. We fought back with that tension, the fact that we were like always going back and forth. It created something special that without him would not have been there, and him without us it would not have been the band and the record. So I think it was that constant sort of interaction that created something a little special. But looking back. There's some things that I wish were a little different, but not in the writing, not in the songs per se, more in the approach of like the overall like arrangement or sound or the production, as we say. But I mean, I'm just grateful that we have a record that still stands up the test of time, and that 15 years later people still want to hear the music. So obviously we did something right with Arno, and we're so proud of it.
And something else that's kind of interesting is that now, with 15 years of playing together in our pocket, I think we play this album better than we ever have now. Yeah. But it's all the songs from 15 years ago, so that's kind of cool,
I mean, the one thing I'll say that sort of defined a little bit of the band is that it didn't sound very hard, like tough. It didn't sound very. It sounded like it was more on the pop side. I think it's sort of if these songs would have had like a heavier production, like the way that we maybe envisioned it. Maybe the band would have, I'm not saying that the band would have been perceived completely differently, but it would have maybe like helped us to be perceived more of like a rock band as opposed to a pop rock band.
Which was a strong direction for Still Not Getting Any album that came right after. Like that was the whole point of getting pop rock, was to get all that live energy that we had noticed comes across once we went on tour, because we didn't tour a lot together as SimplePlan before the album came out.
Yeah, I felt like it didn't feel like it didn't sound the way that we sounded when we played
on stage.
It was more like a studio record. There was a lot of parts and there was a lot of but at the same time there's a lot of ear candy that
very cool.
And fans love and that they're into. So I don't know. I mean, I think that it is what it is, and we embrace it for what it is.
You're very proud, and we are proud.
Yeah, of course.
So on this record, this is one of those questions where I pick up something interesting. So I recently studied the album cover.
Yes.
No Fats. And you are wearing a Role Model t-shirt.
I am.
Why are you wearing
No, on the cover?
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
I think on the back side you were wearing
on the back side, yeah.
I've never ever seen you wear a Role Model t-shirt before. No.
In the I'm Just a Kid video, I wear a Role Model t-shirt.
Seriously?
Yeah. When I had the red shorts, the red shorts with the dark, it's the drop up. That one too. See, I had 2 Role Model t-shirts in the I'm Just a Kid video.
But it just feels very weird because it's mostly been Chuck and Pierre because they always it's their company. Right?
Sure, but when we first started a band, Role Model was the only people that were willing to give me free shirts. So hey, I was wearing them. And then as we got bigger, I got other people that liked me, so I moved on.
Okay. I thought it was more behind that. But okay.
No, not really. My pals had T-shirt.
Okay.
I wore their T-shirts.
Okay.
Right there. You left here to check.
Yeah. I studied the book. I studied the book recently, and there's this set list from way long ago, and it has a song called Peter.
Yes, that was When I'm With You.
When I'm With You. Why is it Peter?
I don't know, because it didn't have a title yet. I don't think.
We didn't have a title.
So when you were with Peter.
Because Arnold would call Pierre Peter.
Yeah, that was his nickname.
I don't know why.
And I think it was before the song. Well, if it's on the set,
Like a working title.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know how like bands like No Effects and all that, they use that like a song called Lisa, and a song called Joe, and a song. So it was just like the
Because you've never really before had like a girl's name or male name.
Well, it was Pierre's. Pierre had a little crush on the guy named Peter.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. No, it was just really.
I think Pierre came up
brought
with
the so it's like, so we're like, oh, that's Peter.
The Peter song.
Oh, okay. It's just Peter.
And Arnold called him Peter, so it's complicated.
You're good at that because
You have to be there.
2 interviews ago, you asked us about the song called Kind of the Man.
I know.
Yeah.
It's the same set list. I just forgot about the Peter thing. So.
Yeah, scratch and burn.
So you recently started being a producer.
Me?
Yes. You're creating a documentary.
Yeah.
You've never ever talked about ever.
Well, it's because it's a long-term project that I'm working on with Pete from Australia.
Yeah. You don't really brag about having sex until your wife gets pregnant either.
Yeah, but
I
it
mean,
already has a website, already has a poster and everything. So
It's more like Pete's project, and I just try to help him. I mean,
produced by.
I want to be involved in it. Yeah, I want to, we're trying to get a bunch of bands to to come out and be part of it and tell their side of the story of the whole sort of pop punk resurgence and what's happening and their history as well. So we've had a lot of really cool bands be a part of it. We got like Marco from Sugar Call right now that was in it. We got I think we have like Jenna from Tonight Live. She's in it. We got Mike from MXPX. We got John Feldman, the producer. We got a bunch of people that it's been really cool to Finch. A bunch of people are talking about their experience. Obviously, SimplePlan is going to be in it. And like we want to get all the other bands. It's just been a lot of work to to reach all the bands and try to get them to find time in their schedule and all that. So I think it's going to take some time, but for me, I love this kind of music. It has given us so much, and I feel it's like a little bit of a love letter to the style that we're part of, and just trying to create something that's going to be like the definitive history of the scene, and so we'll see if we can pull it off.
Do you think you have any release date?
No,
like not at all.
Oh, in the next year or two.
Okay. And is it going to be like YouTube or like actually?
No, I have no idea. I mean, like the goal would be to have it like in festivals and like I have a real release for it, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be Netflix, maybe it'll be Wow.
That's very interesting. So I know that a couple of the American shows have been filmed, and we kind of hope that maybe it would be for Resurgence or maybe for some sort of live DVD, live something. So I was wondering, like, are you guys maybe planning to release, like maybe something like you did with Live in Albert, to release it on YouTube, like a no-pass show?
We're definitely planning something. It's hard to say if it's going to be a DVD, if DVDs are still a thing, and we're still trying to find out. Yeah, we're still trying to find the right way to put it up, but we definitely filmed the whole show. It was freaking amazing. It sounded great. We were really on. The fans were great, and it was in Anaheim, and it was amazing. So there's some live no-pass theme coming for sure.
Yeah, I think the idea that we just felt like this tour was so special that we're not going to do it it was only going to be this year, and it was never going to happen again, most likely. And we wanted to capture it, we wanted to record it, we wanted to have a way for the people that maybe couldn't come to a show to see it. We want, even for us, for ourselves, to have like that memory of that tour. So we ended up talking to Mark Staubach and Shadi, with a lot of great friends, great videographer and great directors, and we got like a team of like 10 or 12 cameras. I haven't seen the footage yet, but it's still being edited and everything, so I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
We're excited, and hopefully we'll find a cool way to release it.
I'm sure all the fans are really looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's going to be really good.
So, we've already hinted on this, new record. mentioned a couple times that you want to hurry up with the next record. Like you don't want it to take years, like the last record. On the last record, I know that you went back to the studio to record some more songs. And if I'm correct, that in a span of basically like 2 weeks, you managed to record like 3 of the songs that have become like, one of the most like fan favorites on that record, in overall Farewell and Nostalgia. Do you think that you could be more productive if you work like under a stricter deadline?
Deadlines have always been good for us.
Possibly, deadlines are good. I think what benefited that particular session is that they're all very similar sounding songs, so that obviously goes good because you have less tweaking to do and all that. But I think when we have a deadline, it's good. Sometimes deadlines, like I think what we need is no deadline for the writing and then a deadline for the recording. I think that would work very well for us.
But if there's no deadline for the writer,
no, but you can't rush that. See, if you're hurrying the writing, then you're just coming out with a shitty product. But if you have the good songs and you're stoked and you're going to the studio, all right guys, we got 1 month, nobody's gonna fuck around, we're gonna get this done, you know? Like it's a different
I think the big thing was that we had a direction, like we knew what we wanted to accomplish with the writing and the recording of these songs. We wanted to sort of do a throwback, go back to our roots, do something that was in a way like maybe simpler because it was kind of like it's what we do. You know, it's the trademark of the band. It's high energy, like you know, like lots of guitars, heavy drums, go for it. You know, so I think that's what made it go faster. Sometimes when we try different things, like different sounds, everything, you have to tinker more with everything because it's not like your go-to sort of style. You know, so I think that you know, and also as you create a record, you have to give yourself a chance to try different things, experiment and everything. Where this wasn't really experimentation. It's like, okay, let's just go back and do songs, like do some fun songs that we love, we like are kind of like old school sounding, and so maybe that helped go faster.
Final question.
Yes.
We've been thinking about this for a while. There's been a lot of bands who've been making concept albums. Have you ever thought about creating a concept?
Yeah, all our albums are concept albums actually. The concept is great songs, new songs, that's a concept that we try to do every time. And you know, just get on stage and play those songs. It's always a big concept behind the albums as well. I think that's very important for us.
I think conceptually we've been very strong.
Essentially we've been very strong. I think it's I don't know, I think it'd be very restrictive for us to have a concept. You know,
I was just wondering.
No, but exactly. I think
we've
had discussions about it.
I think it's cool. It could be very cool, but I think like if you're all of a sudden writing a really cool song and you're like, no, we can't do this. It has to fit with that. You know, like then we're kind of there. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. You know, it's like you have to. It's a lot easier to say, oh, we'll sit down and we'll do this and that, or write like 3 songs like this. You have to sit down and write them.
Yeah, you have to do it.
But I mean, it could be. What could be cool is that it could be inspiring. You know, as like you enter a 6th album, you've done your rollout song, changing up a little bit, something different could be cool. But you have to have a good concept, and you have to have something that keeps on inspiring you, and that allows to like, okay, write 10, 11, 12 songs about it, about it. So